Aloha, and welcome to another episode of Hawaii Food and Farmer Series, where we meet with Hawaii's farmers, foodies, and food entrepreneurs, talking about different stories of what makes Hawaii's food system survive. I'm your co-host, Matt Johnson, and unfortunately, Justine is not with us today, but don't worry, she will definitely be back next week. She has to be because I will not be here, so she apologized, but she'll see you next week. As always, you can join the conversation by tweeting in at ThinkTechHI, and also you can check out all of our YouTube shows at ThinkTech Hawaii. So today we have a fantastic duo guest that I had been fortunate enough to meet a little over a month ago from Shaka Beverages. They're going to be talking today about a new product that is just coming out onto the market as of yesterday, called Shaka Tea. So I'd like to welcome Bella and Harrison to the show. Thanks, guys, for being on.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so very exciting. So we actually have your new products here right in front of us, joining us for the show. Mm-hmm. So they'll have an opportunity to jump in and say some things as well. Yeah, so why don't we go ahead and get started and just introduce yourselves a little bit, give us a little background on who you guys are.
Yeah. Well, we met in Boston about almost 10 years ago.
Okay.
We went to Boston University and we were friends first, and I even actually remember from our friendship we were really interested in eating out.
Okay.
And being introduced to different cuisines, so that was always sort of part of our thing. And you know, after we became a couple, we were really fortunate to move abroad. Shortly after we got married, we were living for almost 6 years.
Oh, wow.
In the United Arab Emirates.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So that was really, I think, inspiring and also influential in our decision to get into food and beverages. We were fortunate to be based over there and travel extensively throughout the Arab world.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, parts of Europe, parts of Asia. And I'm born and raised here, and once we had our babies, you know, we really felt that tug to come home, and we began to think and really sort of ruminate on what we could create that could bring us home and also bring our love of Hawaii and food together.
Mm-hmm. And
Great.
I'm born and raised in Seattle, and a lot of people think of Seattle as, you know, kind of a coffee town, but it has this wonderful tea culture as well. And so I just grew up always loving tea and kind of excited about things in the tea space. In fact, the first gift that Bella ever got me in Boston was some tea.
No way.
Loose leaf,
Wow.
fancy loose leaf
Okay.
tea.
Foreshadowing.
Exactly.
Right?
A little bit of serendipity there. She introduced me to Mamaki tea while we lived abroad, and I just fell in love. So that kind of became a conversation as we were looking at things to start and things to do. That was just kind of front and center for us as well.
Mm-hmm.
Great. And then what kind of background do you guys have? I mean, before you started getting into Shaka Beverages, what kind of work were you doing before?
Very different work.
stuff. Well, I mean, I'm in marketing and PR.
Okay.
And that's kind of, that is my background. So for me, I definitely came at this from the perspective of, you know, things that could build an exciting brand and build something that people could get really excited about, and that would give you a lot of substance to create something around and to build excitement around. And Mamaki stood out as being that as well.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Bella, how about you?
Yeah. For me, my background is actually more in nonprofit community work,
Okay.
particularly in art and culture. So that was really neat for me to be working with Harrison on creating a product, but also thinking about how can we create something that gives back to community, and that's really central to our mission. I've always been inspired by companies like Newman's Own or Tom's Shoes, where there's that component that you're creating a product. You obviously want to sell, you're a business,
Right.
but you're building a business in a way to also give back to a cause that's close to your heart. So that was really central and important in our early discussion about creating a company and designing Shaka Tea. And 3% of our profits actually go back to Ho'olua'aina. They're
Okay.
part of Kukua Kalihi Valley.
Yeah.
They do amazing work with the community there. They do a lot of work with land, growing food food for the community, planting indigenous and native species, removing invasive, and Mamaki being an endemic plant. There was sort of that beautiful tie, and we love Puni and Casey Jackson over there. So.
Yeah, I'm good friends with Puni as well.
Awesome.
He needs to come onto the show.
She does.
Yeah,
We just dropped off today because, yesterday we got our first shipment.
Yeah.
So today we dropped off 3 cases for them and their volunteers.
Oh, they must be so excited.
Yeah, this Saturday is the 3rd Saturday of the month, their community work day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
It's going to be nice and refreshed with Shaka Tea.
Hopefully.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, guys, talk a little bit about what was the catalyst for this? So you've known about Mamaki growing up here in Hawaii, and you introduced it to Harrison. So, what was the catalyst for you guys to kind of come back to Mamaki and then come up with the beverage?
Yeah, I think there were a lot of reasons. I mean, really going back to our family, like once our son Koa was born, we knew we wanted to come back here, and let's be honest, there are not a lot of jobs.
Yeah.
So we really knew that to make it at home, we had to come up with something that we could create. And since food and beverage has always just been
Passion.
our passion, our
100%.
hobby.
Yeah, our hobby. Our passion, yeah.
I'd
You
say
guys
our
like to
hobby.
eat and drink all the time?
Exactly.
We do. We really do. I mean, it was really central to conversations we were having, and I remember just playing around in our kitchen and in Abu Dhabi and Dubai and making mixtures and playing with flavors and for me, growing up here, I was really used to those sugary pog drinks and everything.
Yeah,
so
right.
I really wanted to capture some of those flavors, but obviously a much healthier version.
Yeah.
So that was fun in the
This
kitchen.
would be great if you could take an inter-island flight and have Shaka Tea instead of Pog. Not that there's anything wrong with Pog, but this would be great
Pog
to have.
has a plate. It's a
delicious.
special treat.
There's a Pog viewer out there right now, like, oh.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I'm a Pog fan, but I can't drink it every day just because of the
I don't
amount of
think
sugar.
anybody should.
Yeah, but
Although I
it's
gotta-
good stuff.
Even in Seattle, my dad would always have a case of Pog in the fridge.
Oh, okay.
So we loved it, but and I loved it. But there's I think something a little bit different about having, I mean, just from a pure calorie perspective, and something you can feel great about drinking every day. 50 to 90 calories per bottle as opposed to 200 calories per bottle. So something that's very light, and that really complements the health of Mamaki.
Yeah.
So if you want to make a good beverage, building everything around it with goodness to bring that to life.
Great.
Yeah.
So we've said Mamaki probably at least 20 times by now. What is it?
Yeah, well, Mamaki, I mean, I'm not supposed to say because it's not very marketable, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's from the nettle family.
Okay.
So nettles are really great for your health. They're a great cleanser, but it's not a stinging nettle because it didn't have any predators, and it's endemic, so it's a pre-canoe plant.
Okay.
It's a beautiful plant. There are actually a few different varieties. Some of them have more of a red stem, and for people who don't really know where to find it, you can definitely go to Ho'omaluhia Botanical Garden on Oahu, and they grow some in their garden, and you can find it wild, often in wetter areas.
Okay.
And it's been drunk for centuries in Hawaii, in native Hawaiian culture, and it's touted for its health benefits. And that was kind of interesting because I just thought it was something you drank, it's good for you. Like, when is tea not good for you? So I introduced it to Harrison, and then he began to research.
We started researching it, and we found some peer-reviewed, really solid scientific studies that are backing up, really reinforcing why it's so phenomenal. And catechins are the one antioxidant that's in green tea that do the most good. That people get really excited about and market when they talk about green tea. And there's more catechins in Mamaki than there is in green tea. Mamaki is also caffeine-free, but instead of having caffeine, it has something called chlorogenic acid, which is another phenomenal antioxidant, but it's also a source of energy that's about half as strong as caffeine, a lot more mellow, and
So you get that like super surge off of it.
You kind of just feel centered and enlightened and very positive when you drink it. It has rutein, which is
Kind of like the namaste of tea.
of tea, right?
Yeah,
That's
a little
a good
bit.
way to
Wow,
say it.
okay,
You
yeah.
want to join
I
our marketing?
I just
Our
blew that.
marketing
Yeah.
Namaste tea. I like
Trademark.
that.
But and it also, of course, being grown in Hawaii and grown in volcanic soil, has a whole host of macro and micro minerals that you're not necessarily going to be exposed to all the time. So to drink it, you're giving that stuff to your body that your body really needs and really utilizes. So that whole kind of collection of things just makes Mamaki this really super tea, this real super leaf that's just phenomenal. Tastes great and very good for you as well.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
sounds fantastic. And we actually did just taste some of it before. And it's funny, we're not trying to make this like a promo show, but that's
Right.
kind of what it is. I mean, because that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And yeah, it has a really nice, mild flavor to it. And you guys are adding different flavors and having different things happening with that. So where are you guys sourcing your Mamaki tea?
Our Mamaki comes from the Big Island, so we work with Wood Valley Plantation, Mamaki of Hawaii, and they're in the Pahala district.
Okay.
So it's all from the Big Island, which is really, really great. I think for anyone from here or who lives here, any way you can support local agriculture, you're supporting local economy, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
So hopefully this will really pick up and become a popular beverage, and we can work with even more local farmers.
Yeah, no, that sounds great.
Yeah.
So how did you guys start that conversation, and how was it recepted by the farm?
We reached out to them because we began to do research about the different farms. There are actually quite a few on Oahu as well, but they're really popular. I mean, Mamaki is being sold, I know, dried at Whole Foods and at certain farmers markets. So some of the smaller farms we originally reached out to, they were basically saying, we're at full capacity. And we were really fortunate to come across Wood Valley Plantation, and they're the largest Mamaki farm in the island. In the islands,
And they've just been, really great business partners as we've been talking to them and looking at where we want to go. We've, built a vision together about it. And so it's always wonderful when you can find farmers that you can really work with in building something that's something we always look for in business partners.
Now, are you guys kind of moving towards being their primary outlet for their product, or what else are they doing with their tea?
They sell it dried, so I think we're not their primary outlet. I think we're probably right now. We are the first ready-to-drink RTD iced Mamaki on the market.
RTD, I like that.
We learned all about
there you go.
industry
Okay,
terms,
okay.
right? There's bevindustry.net.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
do a lot
okay.
of great informational things for anyone looking to get into the beverage industry, because it's definitely its own specific industry and categories. And words like that, RTD. So I know we're their only and the only on the market RTD, but they sell great dried tea under Mamaki of Hawaii brand. And yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, we're going to come back and talk more about Mamaki tea and hear more from Bella and Harrison after we take a quick break.
Aloha, I'm Kaui Lucas, host of Hawaii is My Mainland, here on Think Tech Hawaii every Friday at 3 p.m. We address issues of importance for those of us who live here on the most isolated landmass on the planet. Please come join me Fridays at 3 p.m. Mahalo.
Aloha, welcome to Think Tech Hawaii. My name is Josh Green. I'm the host of a program called Healthcare in Hawaii. I'm a physician. I work in the emergency department on the Big Island. I also serve in the state senate, which, please don't hold that against me, doesn't detract from my television program. We speak about all the big healthcare issues in the state. We get together on Tuesdays from 2 o'clock till 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we try to talk about the most important issues in healthcare. This is a terrific venue for people to learn about healthcare. There are many programs on this station. We broadcast it later, not just on the internet, but also on OC16. Thanks for joining us. Please be informed healthcare consumers.
Okay, how's that? Aloha and welcome back to Hawaii Food and Farmer Series. I am your host for today, Matthew. And as always, you can tweet in at ThinkTechHI. Please join the conversation. We'd love to hear from you. So with us today, we're talking to Bella and Harrison from Shaka Beverages, and we're talking about a new line of Mamaki tea products that just hit the market yesterday. So very exciting. And so yeah, where did we leave off? Sometimes I forget. So we're kind of talking about Mamaki and working with the different farms. So let's kind of talk about the next step for you guys. So you guys are building this relationship with the farms. And so they're excited, and there's potential for them to grow with you guys as you kind of figure this out. So you just did your first production where there was how many pallets? I was there kind of helping.
Yeah, it was all afternoon offloading pallets.
Take the pallets. It did take a little bit longer. So your first truckload of pallets of
Yeah.
tea came in.
Yeah.
And so talk a little bit about the process, because that was fascinating to me. So here you guys were, you kind of came up with the idea and you guys had to come up with the recipe. You're sourcing Mamaki tea from the Big Island, and then you're also working with a bottling company in California and then shipping it over. Talk about that process. Like how, if somebody wanted to do that with another product, another food item in Hawaii, what does that look like?
Well, do you mind if I?
Yeah.
So I mean, I think one of the benefits of coming from kind of a more corporate marketing background is you're often given projects that you have no idea how to do, and you got to figure out kind of how to do them.
Yeah.
And there's always a few fundamentals, which is you just take an objective step back, talk to people who know what they're, know a little more than you do about it, and really think through the various steps that you're going to need. So you think through manufacturing, supply, product development, all these different things, and then you go out and you procure, and you look at you try to look at least 3 different options for each segment, so that you know you're getting a fair market price, and you can negotiate, and you can also really get a sense for where people might stand apart. And if you just do that basic, just thinking through what am I going to need, and just go through a normal kind of procurement process of making sure you're actually calling people and talking to people and asking a thorough set of questions and making a fact-based decision about who you work with, you can pull it together. And it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot longer than you think it would take.
Yeah, I'm sure that process went completely smooth, just as expected,
of course.
right?
Right, yeah, exactly.
We only launched 6 months later than expected,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like we thought this would be fall.
That's actually really early.
It's March. It's March.
Yeah.
Because you end up talking about every single ingredient, and the labels become a thing, the bottles become a thing,
Yeah.
the cardboard the bottles go in become
The
a thing.
processing, I remember he's really great at the logistics and
Okay.
managing all of that and pulling it in a streamlined process. So that there was a lot of management with making sure it got reviewed officially by.
You need to get signed off by the state.
Yeah.
You need to make sure you're kosher certified, because most facilities are kosher certified.
Okay.
So we had to make sure the Mamaki farm, which hadn't previously been thinking about kosher certification,
Oh,
became
wow.
in the,
So
in
this
the
is all
process
kosher
with us.
certified.
It is now kosher
Yeah.
Wow.
certified, yeah,
And
which is exciting.
everything needs to have its microbiological levels analyzed, so everything needs to be sent to a lab. So when you do something on the scale, it just takes a lot of additional little steps that you get to learn about as you do. But the thing is, if you jump in and you find the right people to work with to begin with, so if you get those fundamentals of really digging in and looking for the right folks to work with, if you're working with the right people, from the farmers, the manufacturers, whomever, those things come together and the dots connect, because the people help you,
Right.
and they help you kind of fill those gaps and solve those problems.
And I think what's really important too is the relationships you build in person. When we were launching this, we were still in the process of moving back home. So we were doing all this at very odd hours, living in the United Arab Emirates,
Oh, wow.
working between Hawaii and California.
Oh, geez.
But it was really, really important. Last June, we went to California, where we were able to meet our bottlers.
Okay.
And face to face, it's a family-owned business. They've been around for, I think, over 50 years. And really also talk with the man behind this, who helped us take our homegrown recipes. And that's very, very different than when all of a sudden you're producing 18,000 bottles and refining that. So that was a really important relationship. And there was a lot of taste testing. For a while, we were doing more juice, more fruit puree, so it was a bit sweeter. Then we went back a notch, because we realized we wanted this to be something you could drink all the time. You could drink it with lunch. It wasn't overly fruity.
It wasn't going to be overwhelming.
Yeah, and you still had that base of Mamaki. Mamaki is sort of a red tea. I guess you can't really equate it with much. It's somewhere between Rubius or Guayaki. The what is that, mate? Yeah, but it's its own flavor. It's very subtle, and we didn't want to lose that flavor. So that was a long process of development and shipping samples back and forth.
Cool.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit now about the different flavors. So you start off with the Mamaki, so you're sourcing that from the Big Island. Then you have your bottling company in California, but then you had to come up with the other flavors. What was that process, and what flavors did you end up with?
It was a lot of fun.
It was a blast.
That was my favorite
Yeah,
part of the
that was
whole
an absolute
process.
blast, yeah.
For people who love to eat and drink and
Yeah.
just playing around in the kitchen, and we'd make different brews, and we get really excited, and we call if someone wasn't home, be like, you have to come home now. I've got this great mixture, taste it. So that was a lot of fun, and our now 3-year-old was a great help too.
Koa loves the
That's his official job title.
the guava ginger,
tester.
the guava ginger blossom, and he'll like, I was showing him pictures as we were making the product, and he's like, "That's Shaka Tea. I want guava Shaka Tea, Daddy."
Yeah,
So
okay.
he's so hopefully that's a good sign that he likes it.
Well, hopefully it is, so you don't have to fire him.
I think he's got tenure,
Oh, okay.
at least
okay.
for a couple more years. Yeah.
But really thinking about the flavors, we thought about base flavors that we love. I mean, guava, it's something that I just have fond memories of going up St. Louis Heights as a kid and picking guavas, and that flavor is just delicious, and we love ginger. So we thought that would be sort of a sophisticated, grown-up take on a guava flavor.
And specifically ginger blossom. I remember when I first came here, one of the first things when I first came here with you, one of the first things you did is took me to the Poly Lookout, and as we were walking up, we were picking ginger blossoms. And
Like the
and
white
eating
blooming
them.
ginger.
Oh, yeah.
And you
Yeah.
can eat the stems. I mean,
I
I
didn't know
always
that.
enjoyed that. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's a weird thing to do, but I remember as a kid, I just loved to eat ginger stems from the white ones. So it was
So-
very distinctive to be ginger blossom.
And I've always just associated that light kind of floral ginger with Hawaii more than probably anything else.
And then I think with pineapple mint, one drink we were introduced to when we lived in the Arab world was a mint lemonade.
So this is one I have right here.
Yeah,
the pineapple mint.
exactly. And so we really loved having that mint. I think we don't really drink mint in the United States in beverages that often. I mean, it's usually toothpaste or gum.
Right.
So we wanted to capture that. That was, I think, hands down our favorite drink when
Yeah,
we
still,
lived.
and
Yeah.
we love it. Yeah.
Yeah, so we wanted to mix that together. And instead of lemons, I mean, pineapple's pretty acidic, so that was a great
Yeah.
take on that flavor.
And then you're kind of naming the flavors. What you're saying before, are some of your favorite towns in Hawaii.
Yeah, absolutely. We wanted
So I think Hilo was where you guys had your honeymoon.
Yeah.
we honeymooned
So
on the Big
adorable.
Island, so that I mean, I always say when we're old and gray, I'd really like to move to the Big Island. I love Hilo and that part of the island, and we had a great time in Honoka'a, and all of these really nice aunties and uncles came out, and remember they knew it was. We told them it was our honeymoon, and
Yeah.
they played us the Hawaiian wedding
Yeah.
song on their
No
ukulele.
way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and we love Kauai, and Koloa is a great town as well.
Oh, so this is the other flavors then?
Yeah.
Okay,
Guava
yeah,
ginger
here's Koloa.
blossom. Yeah.
And then we also have the Honoka'a, mango
Exactly.
hibiscus.
Mhm.
And that's the
Hilo pineapple mint.
Great. So talk a little bit about, so you guys went through the process. You started off with the tea, you found the bottling company, you got the flavors, and you put it all together, and you went through all the logistics and all the back and forth, the taste testing.
And brand designing, that was a lot
okay.
of testing in that.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, talk about that. I mean, obviously you just look at this label and you look at it closely, and there's just so much going on. So kind of talk about a little bit about that part of it, because that's a huge piece.
Well, I think when we thought about how to present Mamaki, I mean, Mamaki is a very high education product, and that not a lot of people outside of the community of people that enjoy it on a regular basis would necessarily know about it. So there's a good amount of education if you're trying to grow a brand around it. So we wanted a brand that was simple, that was approachable, with that obviously depth of quality and sophistication that having a Mamaki-based beverage brings. So for us, we were debating various brand names, and our son Koa comes in, and we were teaching him the Shaka then, and he comes in, he literally, as we're talking about it, just goes Shaka, and so we're like, that's it, Shaka Tea, that's the name.
Koa's really the
He
CEO of
is,
this
he
company.
is.
huh?
He's got,
Yeah.
Making pretty influential.
2.5 at the time.
And he helped me close our first sale today, which we'll get to in a moment.
Yeah.
To tell you where we're selling
Yeah.
to. So
Wow. He's out there right now, just selling.
Oh yeah,
He's
just
on
his
Hotel
own.
Street.
Yeah.
Riding his tricycle around, his big red tricycle. Yeah.
Going through the St. Patty's Day parade.
Yeah, absolutely. But he's got insurance. He carries insurance. That's
Oh, of course.
that's a
Okay.
lot of fun stuff with business.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
thinking about insurance.
Yeah. So
But yeah, we came up with the idea of Shaka Tea, and I think for me being from here, I'm very sensitive and also a little critical of misappropriating the Hawaiian language. And I wanted to choose something that was synonymous with Hawaii, but wasn't in any way taking an indigenous Hawaiian word and marketing it as such. So Shaka was just that natural thing that really fit and felt right. We got to research and learn a lot more, because here you're just like, hey, this is how you you know, take a photo, or you want to change lanes,
or say hi to someone.
Yeah.
After you cut someone off on H1.
Sorry.
All
those
so
things,
Many, there's the double Shaka.
Oh, the doubles.
There's
wow.
actually a lot of
The
YouTube
big,
videos.
What is it, the big shock?
Okay.
Yeah, that was one of the fun parts too, besides tasting it, because we really wanted to then learn deeper what does Shaka mean. And so there are all these myths and legends about how this was founded. Supposedly it was a plantation worker and he lost some of his fingers, and then this is how he'd say hi.
Yeah.
So.
And I think, wasn't the other part to that, there was when the kids who were kind of running around when he was in the area, that's how they would wave to each other, say, hey, the security guy is nearby, so watch out.
I didn't hear this part of the
No,
story,
yeah.
but I like
We
it.
learned-
I may have just
love
made that up. I don't know, but for some reason
Makes
that's
sense.
what I remember.
It sounds like great Hawaii folklore.
Yeah. So you can add that to the story.
We will.
And there are a few cute YouTube videos out there, like
Oh, yeah?
of comedians that are actually doing and showing you. We didn't know about double Shaka before this.
Oh, okay.
I was old school. I just
we
knew
learned
this.
things
That
in
was
researching this.
we do. We maybe have close to a PhD in the Shaka. You've just finished
okay.
the process.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we did a lot of brand testing because, you know, we're millennials. We really like clean branding and something that was a little sexy. We love black and not necessarily what you'd expect with something tropical or Hawaii, and sort of juxtaposing some colors and you know, the fruits there actually featured pretty prominently in this lay around and what actually goes in it on each beverage. So we did some templates, and then Harrison's got a great background with leading brand development and design from his corporate life previously in marketing and PR.
So I mean, just as you said, I mean, we were looking for something that was sophisticated, that would sort of stand out on the shelves, because they say that 75% of marketing decisions or purchasing decisions, product purchasing decisions, are made point of sale. So you
judging by the book.
Right. So you can
by the cover.
invest as much as you want into marketing, but if your brand doesn't jump out, if it doesn't stand out as completely different and grab people's attention, and they think I have to pick this up, then you're missing something. So we really wanted to make sure it had that kind of curb appeal.
And our parents were really helpful, because remember, this is still when we were living in the UAE.
Right.
So my mom, his dad, they'd take photos when they were at grocery stores. My mom would be at Down to Earth or Whole Foods. His dad would be in Seattle, and they'd send us what the beverage aisle looked like, which was so
cool.
sweet. We definitely wouldn't be able to launch this
The
without
whole iCloud of these,
their
photos.
support. So that was sort of how we were trying to see, like, what could this look like in the United States on shelf space. And then we did a survey monkey.
My favorite response from our survey monkey was from, although they're anonymous, I'm sure that's from this person who said, don't do surveys, just go with something and go with your gut. But we kind of thought that as, you know, hey, this is the one we feel best about as well. So it went out on the survey and we felt the strongest about it, so we were excited to go with it.
Cool, guys. Well, that's super interesting to hear the whole story. And now when we come back from the break, we're going to talk a little bit more about the next step of doing sales, because that's obviously a big part of the business. And also talk about other future products and what other people out there could do with other locally grown products. So yeah, we're going to take a quick 1-minute break, and we'll be back for one final segment.
Aloha, namaskar, and hello. My name is Anu Hittel, and I host the show called Climate Change Beyond Outrage. We go beyond outrage to find solutions to climate problems facing people, nations, and the world. I hope you will join me here every Tuesday at 1 o'clock. We broadcast live from thinktechhawaii.com. Aloha and bye-bye.
Aloha, this is Reg Baker, and I am the host of Business in Hawaii. We talk about positive stories of businesses in Hawaii, how they have been successful, and how they have overcome some of the obstacles that a lot of us encounter when we try to have a business here. And believe it or not, there are a number of positive stories here, and we want to talk to all of you. So we broadcast live every Thursday at 2 o'clock, and it rebroadcasts again on Olelo Channel 54. So I sure hope to see you next time. Please tune in on Thursdays at 2 o'clock. Thank you.
And welcome back to Hawaii Food and Farmers Series. I'm your host for today, Matt Johnson. Don't worry, Justine will be back next week. And so we're here talking to Bella and Harrison from Shaka Beverages and talking about their new product, Shaka Tea. So one thing you mentioned over the break was the fact you guys aren't using citric acid. Definitely want to what's the significance of that and what are you using instead?
Yeah, well, citric acid, use it to really stabilize and
Get the pH right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's technically natural, but it still is created in a factory in place of lemon juice. And what we ended up using was hibiscus, which does the same thing with keeping the pH level at the right level it needs to be at. And you know, when we were designing this product, we like to cook at home a lot. In addition to eating out, we are big home cooks, and we like to keep things simple. You know, as few ingredients as possible. And when I grocery shop, I'm always quite skeptical. Anything that has more than 8 or 9 ingredients sort of is off my list. So we really kept it, you know, Mamaki, there's some fruit purees or essences, a touch of organic apple juice to sweeten it, so no sugar, and the hibiscus.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Very cool. So, okay, so we know this is a great product. Been drinking it the whole show. This really sounds like a sales promo.
It really does.
I may have a future job. It's like the ShamWell guy, but wait, there's more.
But if you did it for local products, I think it's not as cheesy. It's cool.
Right.
Yeah, thank you. I feel better. It's not
Good.
as cheesy. I like
Not
that.
as cheesy. I mean, at least you're not wearing like Shaka swag and
at
that'd be
least
a little
not
much,
yet.
right?
Yeah.
Good thing we got Harrison change out of his green shirt
Right,
with
right,
the Shaka
right.
symbol on it.
So let's talk about where are you guys going to be able to, what's your plan for selling this? And it sounds like you had some success already. Talk a little bit about the marketing part of it.
Well, we're on day 2, literally,
Yeah.
so we feel very, very humbled and honored to be able to be here with you. This is pretty exciting. And also today we did make our first sales, signed up our first accounts, and that was really, really neat. And it was
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's going to be sold starting next week at Ed Kenny's Kaimaki Superette.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and there's sort of grab and go section, and then the Waikiki Surf Jack is a new hotel opening next week, and Ed Kenny has a restaurant there, Mahina and Sons, so we'll also be there, which is exciting and a little auspicious. One of our favorite restaurants town.
chefs,
was-
Yeah, and you were saying like as a kid growing up, you used to go and eat at Town Restaurant?
I did go to Town.
Wow.
I remember senior year of high school, I would go there and feel very sophisticated.
Yeah. Well, you are very
Oh,
sophisticated.
well, I don't know about that, but thank you. So that's exciting. And I think besides that, we're really looking to be in more shops, restaurants and cafes where we feel what they're doing, they're supporting as much as they can local, really matches our vision for this company, and grocery stores.
Yeah. And wherever I can get my Mazda to.
So I mean, so you're literally just driving around and then you're sending your son Koa in the door with a
That's
bottle?
exactly-
Wait, he has to
so-
sell it, Somebody has to do it.
So if he wants to come home, he has to sell a certain amount of bottles.
Exactly.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's it. We're driving the tea around ourselves, distributing it ourselves, trying to build as many relationships as we can ourselves, and just kind of grow the business with our hands on it. So we're excited and honored to be doing that.
So what would be an ideal situation for you? So obviously you're starting to get it out there. I mean, how big do you want this to go? Like how big can you see it going? Are you planning on potentially shipping to the mainland? What are your big plans?
Yeah, I think we would really like this to become a national beverage. And I think that goes back to the idea of how could we create something that's of this place and supporting farmers. So if this becomes the way we've seen in the past few years, like Runa take off with the guayasa leaf or guayaki with mate, this could be Hawaii's, and that would be amazing.
Yeah.
So we'd really like, we do have our eyes absolutely on the mainland, but we want to, start small. So we're starting here in Hawaii,
Okay.
doing it ourselves, Harrison doing the distribution. And then in California, we're working with a food broker over there.
Okay.
Simultaneously, we are really, really excited that this June we'll be at the World Tea Expo in
Oh, wow.
Vegas.
Okay.
So we'll be repping our
Huge
product
event.
there. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. They're really, really great because they have a special section. Trade shows are prohibitively expensive for
Okay.
anything new, but they have a special section that's under $1,000 for any new business that's been in
Oh, right
business
on.
for 2 years or less, and
Okay.
that's amazing to have that kind of support. Otherwise, I don't think any new business could partake in something like
What's the
that.
normal price for something like that?
Well into the thousands.
Oh,
for-
wow.
1,000.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, so this is really, really nice. And I hope we'll see in the future more beverage entrepreneurs out of Hawaii working
Yeah.
with local products. We really, really love Hawaiian Ola. That's one of our
Oh,
favorite
okay.
local
Yeah.
brands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what other products? So one of the things we're talking about too is like, what other products are you guys looking at that could be used as doing some kind of processing, some kind of value added, where you get more of a shelf stable type item. Like I know one of the things that a lot of people are talking about right now is ulu, breadfruit. There's groups looking into producing breadfruit flour, which has a gluten-free aspect to it, which is real popular right now.
Nice.
Are there other products that you guys are currently thinking about looking into?
I think it's all Shaka Tea right now.
Oh, okay.
I think we've got the next line we've begun to think about.
Mhm.
Hoping this will be successful. So we gotta touch wood, but we're definitely thinking about doing a sparkling line next.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and some other flavors that we really both adore, from calamansi to lily koi. So hopefully in about 18 months from now, we'd have our second line of 3.
So if there was somebody, let's say so you guys were able to, you came up with an idea and you partnered up with a farm. How can like I said, if there's farms out there, if there's somebody who has a business idea, I mean, what do you guys see? How do you see that working out?
I think it's really, really important for people who have a background in marketing and product development to link up with farms. I think we have so many incredible farmers and their expertise is growing, but they don't have necessarily that marketing PR background, which is really essential if you want to take a product and grow it into a business, and in a business that really has, I guess, a high reach even beyond the islands. That would be really, really important. And something that we've noticed, though, and we hope that, through this new relationship with you too, we can help grow, is there does need to be more support for entrepreneurs looking to create shelf-stable products. It's been amazing to see the support for entrepreneurs in the tech community since we moved back home a few months ago.
Yeah.
I love that energy, but that now we need to start that for food and putting together people and in situations, even if it's informal networking, where you have people like us who've got marketing PR backgrounds, community backgrounds, but not farmers, and sort of have that brainstorming happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely been part of the problem, and obviously farms have so many skill sets that they have to be able to just grow a crop. Soil scientists and meteorologists, and then also being able to figure out where their product is going to go. And that was actually one of the feedback I got from this woman who works at Whole Foods, just asking like, hey, when you're working with farmers, what are some of the things that you'd like to see? And one of the things she mentioned was the labeling and the packaging. There needs to be more thought put into that. And obviously, if you have a product coming from a farm, I mean, it's so hard of just getting it to that point. I've worked with a few farms that have done that, and it's like, wow, here's this great product. It gets onto the shelves at Whole Foods, and then it doesn't sell. And it's, your first instinct is like, what is wrong? What's going on here? Like, all this work, and people are talking about wanting to support local and buy local. Here it is. And I think just like you guys mentioned, there's still that final piece that you have to have that close detail to the marketing and the branding. And like you said, that, people are grabbing off of the shelf, what kind of attracts their eye.
In the same way that we're coming from a marketing and branding perspective, and we're really conscious to partner with the right farmers and partner with the right manufacturers. I mean, if a farmer is going to start a business, they should equally be looking to partner with the right branding people and the right manufacturers, and have that same sort of rigorous process of looking through a number of different branding people that they could potentially work with. I mean, they could start this just as easily as we started this, but just coming from a sort of a different perspective and talking to different folks and finding different folks and building different relationships. But if all those pieces are there, then there's opportunity to build something special.
And one of the things that I meant to ask before, so you guys made the decision to bottle the product in California. Was there any options of having that done here locally?
Not really. We really
Yeah.
wanted to. We
Yeah.
looked around, but for glass bottling, there's a lot of canning
Okay.
here,
And,
locally
and
done.
brewing the tea on site in
Okay.
quantity and that sort of thing.
Right.
And little details like Mamaki, a lot of people don't know. You brew it for a much longer time than
Okay.
regular tea. So we brew ours for 15 minutes, is it? Yeah. And you can brew Mamaki, some people brew it all night long.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
the longer you brew it, the more benefits you get out of it. So just making sure we could work with someone who could do that, who could have the capacity to do loose leaf tea that's
Yeah.
cut and et cetera, et cetera. So I hope that in the coming years there'll be more food and beverage manufacturing entrepreneurs that we
Yeah.
could really build that
Yeah.
here locally, that capacity.
Because the kind of facility that you're working with in California, obviously it's a big facility, and they're set up to handle these new startup type products. So people come in and say, hey, this is something that I ultimately want to have bottled. They're kind of holding your hand through that process. And like you said, were they helping with the recipe development as well? Was that
Yeah,
part of
they
the...
partner us with a food scientist that,
Okay.
that we work with. But a lot of different manufacturers offer that. But one of the things we were looking for is really how robust is that process for each manufacturer. So some people would say, yeah, it's something we offer, and then not be able to actually speak to how
Yeah,
it worked. And you
yeah.
kind of would say, okay, that's a red flag. Maybe we shouldn't work with them.
Yeah.
But they were very clear, very, very supportive. And the other side of it, though, is that if they're going to invest their time into it, even though you're working in partnership, they have to believe in the product.
Right.
So you have to make sure that you're selling the manufacturer on the product
Yeah.
if you're going to get them to really work and care and be passionate about it.
Yeah.
And we're fortunate to find somebody that we built that partnership with, and they're passionate about it, and we're excited to work with them.
Because obviously they don't want you guys to come in and do one run. And what was that initial run minimum that they required you to do? Was it
It's 18,000 bottles.
18,000 bottles? So
Is-
that's a
is that-
significant order, but
That's a special smaller amount that you get to do
yeah,
for just starting out.
yeah,
So yeah, it's a significant order, but for them it's peanuts.
right.
How many usually is the run? Is it 50 or 80?
Yeah, it depends.
Yeah.
It depends on who they're working with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, that would obviously be amazing if there was that kind of a facility here locally. I know over on Maui, they just started the Maui Innovation Center,
Oh, neat.
and it's a food-based, I guess, incubator.
Mhm.
And I don't know a whole lot about it yet. I've just seen some things online, and it's definitely on my radar of a group that I want to connect more with and see what they're doing. And it'd be good for you guys to check out as well. So we're getting ready to wrap up here and give you guys just a kind of a closing wrap-up thing and what you hope to see for your business in the next year to 5 years, but then also just other opportunities for local ag and processors.
Yeah, I think I'd speak about maybe what we hope to see with local ag and processors. We're really excited to connect with the community of farmers and entrepreneurs, and maybe we can even work with you to start some type of an informal, Pauhana networking session. These businesses, they don't happen overnight. This from I guess inception of actually thinking about this has been well over a year process to where we are today.
Yeah.
Day 2 officially in business. And I hope we can create that strong community here for farmers, entrepreneurs to come together, and we can see more brands launching out of Hawaii and using locally grown products.
Yeah, and from business perspective, we just obviously we're in business. We want to succeed and we want to grow, and we're very excited to grow in Hawaii. We're excited to look towards the mainland and how we can grow there. And the more we grow, the more we're bringing economic impact back to Hawaii, because it's ultimately a product that's grown in Hawaii. And if we're selling in Hawaii, then we're bringing that impact here as well. So that's the nice thing about doing businesses. When you're doing business with people that you like, you get the opportunity to kind of benefit everybody and ultimately bring that kind of back home.
Great. No, that sounds good, guys, especially the idea of having a Pauhana and starting other groups to kind of get together, because there's a lot of people talking about doing different things. Value-added processing is kind of like this buzz term that people are really, looking at the next level of supporting local, because you can only do so much lettuce and and produce. But so with that, we have to wrap up, unfortunately. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
And thank everyone for joining another episode of Hawaii Food and Farmer Series. And we'll see you next week. Aloha.